On December 19, 2001, at a party in Takata, Toshima Ward, Tokyo, a 19-year-old woman became dangerously intoxicated and fell into an unsafe situation involving 3 men. 2 years later, on April 27, 2003, after an event at an izakaya on the 12th floor of the tower building in Roppongi, Minato-ku, Tokyo, an 18-year-old female student was forced to drink until she lost consciousness. She was then taken to an isolated clinic on the 11th floor, where she remained for an hour and a half, surrounded by 13 men. 1 month later, on May 18, 2003, also, after a party at an izakaya, a 20-year-old female student fell into a similar situation and was taken to a clinic on the 11th floor, where she had to wait on the floor in the presence of 5 men. However, this time, there was one difference. After regaining consciousness in the middle of the night, she bravely ran to the Azabu police station in Tokyo to report the incident. This sent shockwaves across Japan when a men's club with around 1,000 members, known as Super Free, was exposed. According to the testimony of the 20-year-old female student, she had been invited by friends to join a club called Super Free. According to its members, Super Free was a social club established in 1982 with the stated purpose of organizing intercollegiate events to promote friendship and networking between students from universities in Tokyo and those from other regions. The club was so well known that it could attract students from many prestigious universities at some of their events held in bars. The number of participants could reach as many as 2,000 people. However, at that party that night, she became the victim of 5 depraved men from the Super Free Club, individuals who wore the faces of students from prestigious universities in Tokyo. Based on her descriptions and the details she managed to recall, on June 19, 2003, Azabu police executed arrest warrants and raided the homes of 5 male students from Waseda University and Gakushuin University on charges of gang rape. Junichiro Kobayashi, a 4th-year student at Waseda University. Toshiyuki Numazaki, 3rd year student at Waseda University. Sho Fujimura, 3rd-year student at Nihon University's Faculty of Law. And Daisuke Kobayashi, a 1st-year student at Gakushuin University. Among them, one name in particular caught the attention of the police. The man the female student described as the leader of this dark club. Shinichiro Wada, a 2nd-year student at Waseda University, 28 years old. At first, the suspects denied the accusations, claiming that everything had been consensual. However, this defense quickly fell apart when weighed against the actual circumstances. First, the claim that the victims willingly agreed to engage in group acts with men they had just met on a doormat near an emergency exit was utterly absurd. Secondly, it became even more implausible when forensic evidence collected from the scene revealed that the victim had sustained severe injuries consistent with gang rape. The marks on her body, including bruises and trauma to sensitive areas, made it unmistakably clear that this was not a consensual act, but an organized, premeditated assault. The more the police investigated the group of suspects and the Super Free Club, the more dark secrets they uncovered. Secrets that had existed for years without anyone knowing. The most shocking discovery was about Shinichiro Wada, the man who led and manipulated the entire group. He not only participated, but was also the mastermind behind many of the brutal acts, using his cunning to control other members and turned the club into a base for carrying out a series of far more serious and complex crimes. Shinichiro Wada was born in a rural area in a small 2nd-tier city in Japan. His family background was average during high school. Aside from having good academic performance, Shinichiro Wada was neither outstanding nor popular. He struggled to fit in with his peers and felt that he was not recognized. These pressures made Wada feel isolated and crave attention. In 1993, Shinichiro Wada passed the entrance exam to Kuo University, one of Japan's prestigious and reputable universities. However, Wada was not satisfied with this choice. The number of female students at Kuo University was too small, and the atmosphere at the school was too serious and heavy. That did not match his expectations and desire for a lively, bustling learning environment. For that reason, Wada decided to spend one more year studying for the entrance exams, and successfully passed the exam to enroll in the Faculty of Political Science and Economics at Waseda University, one of Japan's top private universities. University life was completely different from life in the countryside. Colorful and filled with excitement, Shinichiro Wada was quickly swept up in that lively atmosphere in the eyes of his family. Shinichiro Wada appeared to be a quiet and mild-mannered young man, but in reality, he was the complete opposite. Inside him was loneliness and desires that waited to erupt into a fierce flame of ambition. He didn't just want to fit in, he craved to stand out, to be recognized. He began devising bold plans, ready to overcome any obstacle to prove himself. In a highly competitive world, in 1995, not long after enrolling, Shinichiro Wada joined a club called Super Free, hoping that its members would be as open-minded and fun as its name suggested, and that it would give him the chance to meet many girls. However, reality left him deeply disappointed. The club was nothing more than an empty shell with only 3 members, including Wada himself. From that disappointment, Wada began to pursue a different path. Instead of seeking fun at school, he chose to work part-time at Velfar nightclub in Roppongi, one of the top nightclubs at the time, believing it would help him better understand how to build a club of his own. Wada rarely attended regular classes and focused solely on learning from the party scene. At Velfar, over 2.5 years, Wada gradually grasped the nature of nightlife, accumulating experience for his ambition to create his own club, Shinichiro. Wada also spent a period working at a company called Lady Chain, where he learned and mastered important secrets about how to operate and control an organization. These valuable experiences prepared him for his next big move. When the 2 leaders of the Super Free Club graduated, Wada realized this was the golden opportunity for him to seize leadership and reshape the club in his own way, knowing clearly that the club needed a breakthrough to attract attention and raise Super Free's popularity. After quitting his job at Lady Chain in April 1998, Wada spent a huge sum of money to organize a big party under the name of Super Free. The event attracted up to 500 students from various universities. This event created a sensation among students, not only at Waseda University but also spreading to other universities across Japan. When the party was held, students from major universities began joining the Super Free Club, including many female students. Gradually, Wada's true nature began to reveal itself. Under the instigation of a club member from Meiji University, he decided to collaborate with several other male students to get 2 girls drunk. 6 of them assaulted the girls while they were unconscious. When the girls woke up, they found themselves lying on a bed with excruciating pain in their lower bodies. They knew exactly what had happened without needing to think. Some people, fearing that the incident would be exposed, immediately manipulated the 2 girls psychologically so they wouldn't call the police, even forcing them to join the club. As for the girls, the shock from being violated, along with the subsequent threats, made it extremely difficult for them to recover. Left with no other choice, they were forced to comply with Wada's demands and join the club. A new psychological shift began to develop in Wada's mind after that first experience, and everything became more familiar to him once he had tasted the benefits. With growing ambition in his heart, he started devising a systematic plan called Super Free, aiming to take away the dignity and purity of dozens, even hundreds, of female students. When this issue is mentioned, many people can't help but wonder. The girls were afraid that reporting it would ruin their reputations and might lead to retaliation, so they didn't dare call the police. But why were the young men so willing to follow Wada's orders? Was it simply because they wanted to take advantage and look for chances to assault girls for free? The answer isn't that simple. Under Wada's management, Super Free shed its original name and transformed into a profit-making company through illegal activities. To attend a party, students had to buy tickets. Within this organization, there was a fairly strict hierarchy, determined by the number of tickets sold and the number of people brought into the club. Wada divided the ticket sellers into 3 levels: Army 1, Army 2, and Youth. The main job of the members was to go to universities and sell party tickets. Wada assigned each male student the task of selling 3,000 tickets. The flyers were printed entirely in red ink because, according to him, the color red stimulates emotions. Tickets for the events were sold at 4,000 yen for men and 3,000 yen for women. This became the club's primary source of income. Any youth member who sold more than 10 tickets had to hand over 2,000 yen to Wada and could keep the rest. Members of Army 1 and Army 2, holding higher ranks, only needed to give Wada 1,000 yen and 1,500 yen respectively. The more tickets they sold, the more money and promotions they were promised within the organization. The leader of Army 1 could easily earn 700,000 yen a month, while Wada himself pocketed over 10 million yen a year. It's easy to imagine that the high-ranking leaders earned enormous profits. This stream of dividends continued to fuel Super Free's operations and drew in even more members, leading to harm for many women, especially first-year female students from top universities in Japan. Starting from April 1998, members of the Code Super Free Club began holding more frequent parties every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at bars near Takadanobaba Station, under the pretense of welcoming new students and helping them make friends with students from other universities. In reality, they were creating opportunities to target naive female students from rural towns, getting them drunk and separating them from their friends. Once successful, the male members would invite the intoxicated girls to another place, saying, "Let's go meet a few more friends." It was all a tactic to lure the victims to Wada's apartment. There was a disgusting rule in this scheme. The one who successfully lured the girl out of the bar would be the first to grope and assault the victim. Just like that, in the span of only 4 months, more than 20 female students had fallen victim to Super Free. Later, when members of the Super Free Club committed their crimes at nightclubs in central Tokyo, their methods became even more sophisticated. The members split into 3 groups, each assigned to guide female students attending the parties. At the entrance, the most attractive girls were given VIP cards and treated with special attention, not realizing that holding that card meant they had been marked as a target by someone in the club. The VIP girls would then be invited into a special VIP room and offered a special cocktail mixed by the members themselves. This drink was loaded with 96 proof vodka. 5 to 10 members would then take the intoxicated female students into private rooms. The remaining girls were invited to a second party held at various other locations, mostly bars. Most of these parties had around 60 participants, both male and female. The female students were lured outside and assaulted in stairwells, restrooms, or anywhere the perpetrators deemed convenient. Afterward, the victims had their shoes, wallets, and mobile phones confiscated to force them into submission and prevent them from escaping. The number of club members continued to grow from the early days when it was just perverted young men like Wada carrying out these acts. Later, through various forms of manipulation, even some of the victims themselves ended up becoming members of this twisted organization. Day by day, the number of Super Free members eventually reached nearly 1,000 people. In order to manage the crowd properly, Wada divided into 3 different small groups. The first group is Ghost and Animal, responsible for leading and attracting the girls. This name reflects the mysterious tactics we use to attract attention. The second group is Self-Cultivation, whose task is to support the girls in trouble and prevent them from reporting the alarm. This group will find a way to comfort the characters after being attacked, cut off contact with relatives, friends, and use every means to make them happy. Purely, they even take pictures of these girls smiling by proving that they acted voluntarily, so that the victims cannot report later. In addition, among the core members of Super Free was the son of a Yakuza member who acted as an enforcer. Whenever a girl showed any intention of going to the police, he would immediately step in to intimidate and silence her. The final group consisted of female students, whose role was to carefully select ordinary girls with a variety of personalities, from quiet and reserved to outgoing and lively. All of them were chosen as ideal figures to help build a flawless public image for their depraved club. Wada's method proved highly effective for him and the other vile men in the club. In just 5 years, the number of girls who had been assaulted exceeded 400. Most of the remaining victims chose to remain silent, forced to endure the pain without speaking out and compelled to obey Wada's orders. With such tight organization, Super Free experienced a smooth period of growth. In 2001, the group was officially registered as a legal entity and transformed into a sizable company. By 2002, Super Free began operating as a chain, expanding its branches to major cities, including Osaka, Nagoya, Sapporo, and Fukuoka. Wada's crimes were only exposed when the final victim dared to speak up. No girl would ever want a sacrifice her own reputation just to frame someone, but in reality, despite having consumed a large amount of alcohol, she managed to remain conscious during the assault. She tried to gather evidence and made the decision to call the police in time. Thanks to the clear evidence, handling the case became much easier. When the assault that took place on May 18, 2003, was exposed, Wada immediately sent an email to his group, instructing them not to accept any interviews from the media and demanding that they return the profits from ticket sales. However, these attempts to cover up the crime proved ineffective. Japanese police quickly arrested Wada and his accomplices, confirming their criminal acts. Even though the truth was clear, the police were still shocked to discover that Waseda University, one of Japan's most prestigious institutions, known for its outstanding students, could be connected to such disgraceful acts. In the end, under the pressure of public outrage and ongoing investigations, Super Free was officially disbanded on June 22, 2003. The consequences of these illegal acts forced many members of the organization to face the law, marking the end of their criminal operations. In the midst of this, Seiichi Ota, a member of Japan's House of Representatives from the Liberal Democratic Party, sparked controversy in 2003 when he made the outrageous statement, "Those girls who were raped still looked so full of energy. Doesn't that mean they're fine?" This remark ignited public outrage both in Japan and internationally. Not long after, Ota was forced to resign from his position in the House of Representatives. The case involving the Super Free Club was brought to trial. This time, Wada wasn't so lucky, as the victim had gathered enough evidence to testify against him. On November 2, 2004, the Tokyo District Court sentenced Wada to 14 years in prison. He appealed the verdict, but the court rejected his petition in June 2005. 13 other members of the so-called Beast Group were also convicted, receiving prison sentences ranging from 2 to 10 years. Meanwhile, members of the manipulators and the female students groups were less affected, as they held less power within the organization. The Super Free case sent shockwaves throughout Japan, sparking widespread debate about sexual crimes in the media. Some argued that the years of intense academic pressure had negatively affected the defendants' mental states. Meanwhile, others believed that a sense of superiority from attending an elite university made them arrogant, convincing themselves that the laws of society somehow didn't apply to them. In the aftermath of the incident, a new law addressing gang rape was enacted under Japan's penal code, aiming to strengthen protections for victims and impose harsher penalties on those committing such crimes. Though the Super Free case has officially closed, its aftermath continues to haunt the public's memory. The incident left not only physical wounds, but also deep psychological scars that could last a lifetime. Day after day, the victims still struggle with horrific memories, feelings of shame, and lingering fear, while Wada, having served his sentence, has since changed his appearance and resumed his life as if nothing ever happened.